Have you ever stopped to wonder what music might look like? Or, get this, what a word tastes like? Sounds a little out there, right? But for some people, that's just their everyday reality. Today, we're going to dive into the absolutely incredible world of synesthesia, where the brain's senses get beautifully and bizarrely mixed up. So just imagine for a second, you look at a number and you don't just see a symbol on a page. You see a vivid, consistent color. And this isn't some choice or a cute association you made as a kid. For a person with synesthesia, a synesthete, the number 7 is yellow, period. Just as surely as you and I would say the sky is blue. It's a genuine blending of perception, and it gives us this amazing window into how our brains actually build the world around us. Now, you might be thinking this is some super rare one in a million kind of thing. But, well, the data tells a totally different story. It turns out that about 4% of people experience some form of synesthesia. That's roughly 1 in every 25 people. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't some rare anomaly. It's a really significant variation in how humans perceive things, and it's been hiding in plain sight all along. So what exactly are we looking at here? Is this just a simple case of crossed wires in the brain, kind of a perceptual glitch? Or could it be something more? A hidden advantage, maybe. A unique cognitive gift that offers a richer way of experiencing the world. That is the big question we're going to explore. To even begin to answer that, we first have to get a handle on what's actually happening. So let's start by defining this world of woven senses. The key words you really got to grab onto here are automatic and involuntary. This is not a poetic metaphor. When a synesthete hears a trumpet and sees the color orange, it just happens. They can't turn it off. It's not a choice. One sense literally, automatically triggers another, creating this unified, multi-sensory experience from just a single source. And this blending can happen in dozens and dozens of different ways. Some of the most common ones are seeing colors when you hear sounds, or having letters and numbers that come with their own built-in color palette. But then there are some truly wild ones, like lexical-gustatory synesthesia, where hearing a word like jail might actually trigger the taste of, say, cold bacon. Seriously, scientists have actually documented over 80 different types of this. It's amazing. So how on earth is this possible? What does a brain that tastes words and sees sounds actually look like? Let's get into the neuroscience and see what's happening under the hood. What's so great about this is how simple the core idea is. See, in most of us, as our brains develop from when we're babies, the connections between different sensory areas get pruned back. They get trimmed, creating these super specialized pathways. But in a synesthete's brain, it looks like way more of these cross connections stick around, creating what you could call a hyper-connected network. And that leads us to the main explanation for all this, the cross-activation theory. A brilliant neuroscientist named Dr. V.S. Ramachandran proposed that we are all probably born with these blended senses. But for most of us, the brain cleans house and trims those extra connections. For synesthetes, that pruning process just doesn't go as far, leaving these, leaky pathways between, for example, the part of the brain that handles numbers and the part that handles color. And listen, this isn't just a cool theory. We've got hard evidence to back it up. First off, it absolutely runs in families, and scientists have already pinpointed specific genes that are linked to it. But even more mind-blowing is what we see in fMRI brain scans. When you put a synesthete in a scanner and play them some music, not only does their auditory cortex light up, which you'd expect, but their visual cortex lights up too, at the exact same time. It's a literal, measurable blending of the senses in action. Okay, so we know it's real, we have a pretty good idea of how it happens, but this brings us right back to our original question. Is this glitch actually a gift? Could these crossed wires be some kind of cognitive superpower? Well, the research points to a fascinating yes. People with synesthesia often have memories that are way better than average. And it makes sense, right? A memory comes with an extra tag. Imagine trying to remember a phone number when each digit also has its own distinct color. It creates a stronger, more vivid memory palace. This hyperconnectivity also seems to be a hotbed for creativity because it naturally encourages making novel connections and thinking metaphorically. And this right here is the perfect example. Wassily Kandinsky, one of the pioneers of abstract art, literally painted what he heard. He talked about seeing the sound of a trumpet as a specific Madder Lake red. His art wasn't just his interpretation of music. For him, it was a direct translation of his experience. The orchestra was literally his paint palette. This all raises an even deeper question.
Could this trait have been an actual evolutionary advantage? Maybe for our ancient ancestors, having this extra layer of sensory input helped with stuff like pattern recognition or remembering which plants were safe to eat and which were poisonous. It's a really compelling idea that this isn't some leftover quirk, but a trait that once gave us a real survival edge.
So, what this all suggests is that synesthesia isn't just about a small group of people with cool perceptions. It's about the incredible flexibility of the human brain. And it raises one final, really exciting possibility. Could all of us, somehow, tap into this hidden symphony?
Okay, first, it's really important to distinguish between being born with it and, well, acquiring it. Most synesthetes have it from birth. It's genetic, it's just part of who they are. But it is possible to have temporary synesthetic experiences, sometimes after a brain injury like a stroke, or through the use of certain psychoactive substances that fundamentally alter brain connectivity for a little while.
But here is where it gets really interesting for the rest of us. This might not be some exclusive club. Our brains are incredibly plastic. They can change. And research suggests that even those of us without the trait can actually train our brains to build similar, if milder, associations. We can encourage our own sensory areas to talk to each other a bit more. So, how can you explore this yourself? Honestly, it just starts with paying attention. The next time you put on a song, don't just hear it. Ask yourself, what does this look like? You can try consciously assigning colors to letters or numbers and practicing for a few weeks. There are even apps out there designed specifically to help build and strengthen these kinds of cross-sensory connections. Ultimately, synesthesia teaches us that reality isn't nearly as fixed as we think it is. It's this vibrant, constantly interpreted symphony playing out in our heads. And maybe, just maybe, with a little focus and curiosity, we can all learn to hear a few new notes in that symphony. The only question is, what will you discover?